Hey everybody, welcome back. I know it's been a while, but I'm happy to be here today to present with you my third honors experience. So my honors experience deals with my favorite board game of all time, which is this guy right here, Acquire. As you can see, it's very old. This version is from 1968, right there on the back. 1968 there. I don't know if you could read that. I don't know if the camera focused, but that's when it's from. And I love this game. And so I grew up playing it with my family a lot, and so I wanted to immortalize it by making a digital version. So what you see here in this VS Code library, which is available on GitHub, is my digital version of Acquire. So I figure first we'll just play it really quickly, not all the way through, because this game is Monopoly length. It usually takes 1.5 to 2 hours to play through. But after we'll play through it, I'll show you some of the features in the game, and then we can kind of peek through some of the code quickly. I won't take up too much of your time. But to get started, we'll just run it from the __main___ file. So I'll shift enter to run that. So right here, we first have a question if we want to host or join. Now, to explain why this has two yes options, essentially, at this point, the version of the code we're looking at right now, which is the main branch of the GitHub repository, this is where I called my Honors Experience 3 completed, right? The game is fully functional, it works, but it was exactly what was encoded in the base game, right? All 7 hotel chains were there, and the bare minimum functionality where you're playing on a single computer that you're spinning around a family table, right? The game is functional, and so I called Honors Experience 3 complete. Now, since then, and for the past couple of months, I'm very late on doing this reflection, I know. I continued working on it, and so one of the things I really desperately wanted to add was a multiplayer online feature. So you could play on multiple computers online, either local or over the internet. And so I've been working very hard, very, very hard to get that working. We won't look at any of that stuff today. This is just the Honors Experience 3 showcase. So again, this is a feature that eventually does work, that I have an actual yes and no. But as for right now, either way, we're going to be hosting it locally. So now we have the option to save or start a new game. I'm going to say no, we're going to start a new game. So we're going to name the players. I'm going to name one of them Ethan and the other one Viewer. You guys get to participate with me. I could just click default settings and that would put into the game, but custom settings, you can see here, we have everything that controls the game. So we've got the board length and height, economy chains, standard chains, and luxury chains. As I said, we're talking about hotel chains here. That's the point of this game. It'll be a little bit easier to understand when we see the board. But we've got all this stuff for pricing, for cost gaps, for boundaries. These are all things that are very important to how the game plays, but for our purposes, we can just leave it as default and we can start the game. So I'll make this full screen. So here on the left, we have our tile board. This is the actual game of Acquire. So these spaces represent hotel availabilities, and the black are hotels that have been placed down. So we've got one here on 2F and one on 12B. As you can see here on the right side, the viewer, in this case, is going first. You can see their money, their balance. You start out with $6,000 by default. And these are the lists of all of the all of the hotel chains that exist. I said Tower, that's the first one. That's my personal favorite. Love Tower, big fan, bright yellow. Luxor, American, Festival, Worldwide, Imperial, and Continental. The other thing we have here is the other players' inventory. So you can see me, Ethan, I've got the same amount of money, and also I have no stock in any hotels. Then you can see the stock market for all the hotels. We start out with 25 each by default. And of course, the stock market is the bank. And the bank has an unlimited wallet because they can print more money if they need. So the way the game works roughly is you take your turn by placing a tile on the board. That tile will either just simply exist. You will either create a new hotel chain by having 2 or more tiles touching. Or you can bridge the gap between 2 hotel chains, which are indicated by color. And if these 2 chains are touching, they merge, right? One chain, the bigger chain, buys out the little chain. So everyone who holds stock in that little chain gets a money infusion, and then that chain ceases to exist, while the chain that absorbed them, the bigger chain, gets bigger, which means those stocks that are in that bigger chain become worth more money, but they're now also more expensive to buy on the open market. Or if the chain gets big enough, you can just end the game outright. So first, for the viewer, you guys, we're going to play your tiles. So we see right here, you've got 2A in your pocket, 5G, 9G, 10B, 11C, and 11D. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like you have anything good, but we're going to start you with a seed. So you're going to play 2A. You can't do anything, and so it goes to my turn. I'm going to, looking at my tiles, I'll play 7D right in the middle of the board. I also can't do anything yet. The next viewer's tiles here. See here, anything new? Maybe we'll play 10B. I'll play, and now I'm just gonna click this button right here, this tile, repeatedly because this will unhide them and play the next tile until eventually something happens. So we're just gonna speed run real quick. Filling in tiles, okay. So I played a tile, which made at least 2 touching. You can't see it because the pop-up is here. But now I have a choice at which chain I'd like to found. As I said earlier, I'm a big fan of Tower. Tower is my favorite hotel chain, so we're gonna pick that one. As you can see right here, you know, it's still, again, partially obscured, but you can see that it went from black to yellow, which means that is one of the tiles that is a part of the new tower chain. So now that after you've played your tile, you've created towers, so you get 1 free stock, and now you have the option to buy. So we'll hit yes, we'll buy, the viewer will buy, so you are allowed to buy by default up to 3 stock, and tower costs $200 each. So we will buy 3 tower, right there, so you can see that dynamically our balance updates and the stock cart also updates. While this is open, we can still view other players' inventories and the hotel stocks remaining, but by clicking the X here, we're going to complete our buying turn, and now it moves on to my turn again. The tower already exists. I'm very sad I don't get to own it. Let's see, do I have anything I can do here? 8A, so 8A, right, if you see up here, this is unplayed. Right now we have 7A, which is independent, and we have tower here. So when I play 8A, that's going to extend tower up into 8A and also into 7A. So we're not going to create a, we're not going to create a new chain and instantly merge it with tower. We're just simply extend tower by 2. Now tower is still an existing chain. It's still the only one I can buy, but now as you can see, it's gotten bigger, right? It went from 2 tiles to 4, and so now it costs $400 per stock. I'm still going to buy 3 because I can. And we'll see if we can quickly maneuver a way to get a merger to happen. We're not going to buy this turn. Oh, so it played 11E, and now we get to find something. So we're going to go with a really expensive one. We're going to go with Imperial. That's the pink. And we're going to buy Imperials. Now, as I said, it's more expensive. The Imperial is only 2 tiles large right now. You can't see it on the screen, but I can guarantee it is. But it still costs $400 per stock because, as I said before, Tower is a cheap stock. There are those middle-tier stocks, and then these are the expensive luxury hotels, the Imperial and the Continental. So I will buy 3 Imperial there, and so here you go. You can see it on the right. Now, in the interest of not taking too much time, I can see by checking the clock that we've already gone on for 8 minutes. So again, you can just keep playing quite quickly and never have any issues. We'll be looking at American. I'll buy 3 American. See, there's another one. Now, does anyone have 11? Oh, we can make 11D. So we're going to make Worldwide Festival. Actually, we're going to make Festival. It's a dark green. But if someone has 11E, we'd be able to make a merge. I'm going to play 11B, make Festival a lot bigger. I'll buy 3 American. No dice. Yes, I'd like to buy stock. Buy more American. Very American today. Essentially, if we were to play 11E, you'd be able to see it happen. We'd have Imperial merge into Festival, and then you'd have American merge into Festival. And then with those stocks that you had, you'd be able to decide what you do with them. So your options are you can either sell them for whatever the stock is worth. So Imperial at 2 is worth 400. So I could sell my Imperial stock for 400 each. I could trade them 2 for 1 for Festival, or I could keep them and hope that later on I can make a new chain and make it Imperial, and then I would already have a lead on everybody else. That's how the game works. I'm still not getting that merger tile, unfortunately. If I also had 7E, I'll put Continental on the map. I'll buy 3 Continental. Still no luck. Darn. No luck. Make Luxor. Buy 3 Luxor. Oh, and as you can see here dynamically, we have telling us what's too expensive. Buy 3 Luxor. And now here, let's see, still nothing. 2H. The only one left to bail out found is Worldwide. If you'd like to buy a stock, yes. You can see here, this is our final form for our buying cart. I'll buy 2 Luxor as well because they're cheap. Now you can see 8G here is marked off. Now why is 8G marked off? Because all of our chains have been deployed, right? We're fully used up. We've got no chains left. So if we were to play 8G, that would make a new hotel chain, but we're not allowed to do that. So that's why it's blocked off. I have to play something like here, like 5G. I'd like to buy stock and buy Luxor, but now I'm all out of money. You here, still nothing. I can't play 5F, as you can see that would make a new chain. I'll play 3E. Yes. At 1200, so I've got quite a bit of money left. I will buy 3 Luxor. This turn, still no 11E for 1B down. Now you see it didn't ask me if I wanted to buy because, as I can check here, I only have $100 and there's no stock that I could buy for $100. So it doesn't even ask. It does all that accounting and checking for you. Still nothing. Still nothing. Still nothing. No. 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 Come on. Gotta show up eventually. Here we go, we finally have a merger. So as you can see here, we merged Continental into something, I'm assuming worldwide. But because we're only playing a 2-player game, the bank is participating, which means it holds 1 stock. You can see the viewer holds the majority in Continental, and so they earn $6,000. Again, Continental's merging in, and the stock market holds second majority, so it gets half, but obviously it doesn't mean anything. And so now, it merged into Luxor. You can see here, this is the slider I coded, hand-coded. You can see that right now I'm selling all 4 of mine. I can keep them, as many as I want, or I can trade them 2 for 1 in for Luxor. So obviously I'm going to trade 2 for 1 in for Luxor. And then it crashed. That is awesome. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll boot it back up again. As I said, this was significantly old. I've done around 3 to 4 months more work on this. So it's significantly more stable now. As you can see here, we can show you how to load a game state, or if I launch it correctly. I want to load a game, so you can see here, this is my saves file. I can load the quick save. So if I don't play 3D, which would merge them, I can play something else like 11F, or I can just close this. And would I like to save the current game? No, I said I have that quick save feature. Again, since this is still in development game, it's very good that you can save where you left off if something breaks and it crashes. No, we won't save the current game. We have that quick save, but show you end game statistics. So here we can actually look at how the game's progressed. Now, when I click one of these, it actually loads all of the other charts. So it's going to take a second. I'm using a bit of a janky way to do this, but here you can see the viewer and Ethan have both spent their money over time, and you can see how that curve looks. You can look at the number of chains each player has created. You can look at the stocks they've owned. You can see how much they've traded away or sold. Mergers made. Again, the merger crashed, so you won't have any on this graph. Most expanded chain. You can see that Ethan has made the most expansions compared to the viewer. The balance has gone down, which is essentially the same as money spent until you obviously get a positive infusion. Stacks over time. You can also sort by stats. If I click here, I can see all the viewer's stats and all of Ethan's stats. And that's more or less all the game. So to quickly go over the code, since I feel like covering that is very important to this project, the first thing you can see here is the main function, which just goes to the pregame, the game loop, and the postgame. The pregame consists of loading a save file, or possibly defining player names if you're going from scratch. It's changing settings, that kind of thing. The game loop is where we're placing tiles, we're doing mergers, we're handling money, we're having a high adventure game in the world of high finance. And the post game is where we look at things like stats. So here you can see the pregame, scroll through some of the code. Here you can see we're initiating a new tile bag object, some new stats objects, a new board, and a new bank if we start a new game. Otherwise, we're going to unpack them from our save file. Right here, we've got a recursive loading function, which very inefficient. It's, again, since it's been, in the current version, the current branch, you can see down here in the bottom left corner, we're on the main branch. There's also a server branch, which is the one that's working on multiplayer, which I've put significantly more work into since this one. But again, this is the cutoff for Honors Experience 3. Here you can see the game loop, a lot more complicated, a lot larger. Here you can see my custom text parsing. So the main module we're using, or Python package to make this game work, is called Pygame. which you might think is like, oh, okay, you program up a menu and you tell it what 3 options you want, and then it handles all the rest. But that's not how this module works. What Pygame does is it can draw rectangles and text to the screen and detect keyboard and mouse movement. So if I press the letter 3, which I don't want to actually change in here, if I press the letter 3, Pygame will say, hey, you just pressed 3 key down. Everything else I have to handle myself. So right here you can see this is for if you hold shift, right, detecting that a 1 actually means an exclamation mark or an @ sign for number 2. Here you can see I'm crunching player names. I've added in something that will parse. If you backspace, you need to delete a character. If you use the delete button, you need to clear it to a blank string. If you use tab or return, we want to move forward 1 text field, right? Again, in the current version, I also made arrow keys work, which is really cool. Here you can see me parsing the settings that I showed you, the custom settings. Here's the GUI. So as I said before, all it can do is draw rectangles and text to the screen. So everything else here is completely by hand. You can see this is 803 lines of code. This is the code for that dragging slider I showed you, which is actually very neat looking. It's actually pretty clean. But some of the older, the older it is, the less I understood what I was doing, the more messy they are. Merge train priority is pretty long and messy. And as you can see, the more complicated something is, this is a lot. There's a lot to compute here. Or same thing with buying stock, right? There's a lot you have to focus on when trying to show all of those different layered sets of inputs. And then here we have stuff like the player object, which has the ability to play tiles. It can remove dead ducks from its tile inventory. It can be assigned stat values and incremented those stat values with the current state of the game. And there's obviously a lot more over here. Like there's the requirements file. So these are the only packages you need. Pygame for the gaming, NumPy for some of the cost calculating for stocks. Plotly is to make those plots you saw for the stats page. And then in Kaleido, this is kind of the janky way that I take the plot spit out by Plotly and draw it to the screen. This is one of my most imminent to-dos in the current branch, in the server branch, but it's still a work in progress. But yeah, if you want to check out the code yourself, you can check out this branch or the server branch, which is currently being updated for my not capstone, sorry, that's a class I'm taking right now. For my honors experience number 4, which is where I'm adding that networking capability, which is a lot more complicated than this, right? If you have networking, you have to worry about synchronization. But again, I won't bore you with that. That's for my honors experience 4, showcase. But this has been honors experience 3. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.